Akira, you up for giving
Yeah,
little
let
high?
me see if I can get my camera too. There it is. Yeah, my name's Nakira. I work for Alaska Village Initiatives as kind of one of our agriculture specialists. So we do, economic development and agriculture in rural Alaska, big picture. And then within that, I do a lot of like crops and soils. And then I have worked at a couple previous hydroponics farms, and we have a couple different systems in our office as part of some grants that we're doing. So yeah, that's just the quick overview.
You should be coming over for the seed workshop.
I know, I
You
should
know
be.
Michaela Mounts?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she signed up for ABI.
Cool. That's good.
Got to pass that along. That would have been nice. Yeah.
All right. Well, why don't we had the we'll pass it off to you, Nels. I think we can do anybody can I forget how it's set for share screen. So if you want to hit the shared screen or just however you want to do it, go ahead.
Sure. Yeah. I've got a couple things that I think I want to put on the screen here. I'm working from my iPad, so it's kind of my first time trying to share screen from that. But yeah, I'll just kind of jump into talking about an overview of what me and my partner Kelly may have been working on in Fairbanks. Yeah, our business, we call it Alaska Native Greens. And we've been growing in a hydroponic system over the past few years. And there's a couple different elements to what we're doing around food systems in Fairbanks. So part of that is we provide the leafy greens for the Fairbanks Food Hub, which we are developing right now. And the main thing that we're focusing on with that is creating an online marketplace, kind of like what you guys have down in Kodiak. We want to create our own website so that vendors from across the state will be able to sell Alaskan goods. So we have a friend who's a computer science programmer, and he's working on that right now, and we're hoping to have that up and running within the next month. We've got a lot of the technical stuff figured out, so it's just a matter of making it look pretty now. So that's part of like our larger goals of just increasing marketplace access for farmers in Alaska. And that doesn't have to be limited to raw food products. It could be value-added products, jams, things of that sort. And yeah, so right now, Kelly and I, we both just moved into new places. So our farm operation is on hold for now. And we're looking into building a warehouse going into this next spring. And we really want to have a certified kitchen be a part of that as well. So yeah, Kelly has a lot of background with food safety, and we really want to make sure that our whole operation has that centered, kind of as an example for what these larger operations in Fairbanks could look like. So as of now, we have hydroponic farmers in and around the interior, but that market access isn't really there right now. We're not seeing people at the farmers market with their hydro products at this time. So we're looking to increase availability of hydroponically produced produce, but also, yeah, just like work with people in and around the interior to get their own operations set up. So we hope to kind of take on a consultant role in the next couple years as more interest sparks around opening those farms here. And we work with a network of producers around Alaska, but kind of one of the main things that we focus on is our outreach to villages and that direct consumer relationship building. So part of our, kind of motto around that is that 30% of the work that we do is that outreach to villages or people who will be directly receiving these products, whether it's us that's grown them or from somebody in our network who is using either our marketplace on the website or just direct contact. And I have an example of some of those questions that we run through with people. And we developed that with through the UAF I-Core program, which we did that last year. And that's to help people with entrepreneurial projects. So we've kind of, modeled our question list off that. And I'm trying to find it right now. My drive is kind of a mess, but yeah. I guess, does anybody have any questions at this time about any of these things?
So are you having the kitchen be part of the warehouse, or is that
Yeah.
going to be separate?
We're hoping to have it be in the same facility. Although right now it depends. So Kelly has property out in North Pole that we're looking to build the new warehouse on, but we're open to potentially renting a location in Fairbanks too. So maybe that in-town location would serve as the kitchen.
And are you looking into like storage with that one too? Or
Yeah.
just the kitchen?
Yeah, storage would definitely be a part of that larger operation. So for right now, we're focused on getting the warehouse up and running so that we can just be growing the amount of food that we know is going to get distributed immediately. So storage is kind of something that we intend to work on later.
Two things I know from our food hub too that have been valuable, or I guess one that's been valuable and one we're trying to work into is subscription. Sir, I don't know if I mentioned that. Just getting people signed up for a lettuce or herb subscription, 1 or 2 bags every week, every other week. So they don't have to think about ordering. It just removes that, at least for some too, at least the elders, that's been beneficial. Expanding delivery is something we'd like to get into more, kind of bringing back that joke about the milkman mentality where you have a box in front of your house and that gets filled up once a week, with whatever you order. And we'd also like to have an unmanned pickup location. I don't know if that fits into yours at all, but had a cool CSA I was a part of, and she had a walk-in cooler, and she would just say, it's open to go pick up your box on this day. So she didn't sit, because right now, like, we go and sit for 2 hours at our pickup spot, which takes staff time. So you just go in and your box had your name on it, you put it in a bag and go out. So those are just a couple things that
I'm gonna share an idea that one of our farmers up here who does a winter CSA, Matt, at Offbeat Farm, have you met Sam Knapp?
yeah.
So Sam has on his facility where his is of storage, he has a keypad, and each of the people who have a CSA have their own individual code, so he knows who's come to pick up their stuff. Because they let themselves in, and then it sends them a ping lets them know that that number was used and they picked up their stuff. Just an idea so that you kind of can keep track of who is in there when, and it's more security for him, but also peace of mind knowing that people have come and got their stuff, that he doesn't have to go down there to check if the stuff is still around. It relieves him of that question, because he has a long walk from his house down to the storage room if he's not down there. So just a thought, and interesting. You could call him and ask him how he set that up. Might be kind of a fun thing. It's security too, so that
Yeah.
not everybody can just walk
Thinking
in.
a similar thing,
They
or put a
they
little
have to have a
camera or
code.
something, so you could, if you ever have to go back. But I'm just throwing those
Yeah.
out since you're designing this all now, and you can implement certain things
Yeah.
easier at the beginning sometimes, or I don't know. But and Sam, he's the root storage master, isn't he? So that's
Yep.
another.
Yeah, he found a niche. It's great. It works
Yeah.
for up here.
We've also seen here something that's expanding. I don't know if it's a need there, but just cold storage and dry storage.
Mhm.
Just rental space for that has been a big need. So if there's empty space in your warehouse and you can just have that, you rent a little section for cold storage or something, maybe for dry storage, that could be some more income coming in. I know Chugach does that. They have a freezer and everybody has their own little locker. So you can go in, process your deer, put it in your little locker, and you got a
Oh,
place.
what a
to
cool
store it.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's exactly kind of like what I want to see be more available in Fairbanks. Yeah, especially considering that, like, just trying to get more moose into people's hands. Really, that's something that I know that's been really hard these last few years for a lot of families and a lot of people in urban areas too. So yeah, and it's like you said, Max, like all those little things that you can kind of incorporate into the scope of your involvement with the food system. And we're trying to figure out those little successes that would really work for the interior too. So yeah, I'll show on my screen now. I think I can just.
And when you say consulting, focusing on hydroponics or broader in terms of food systems, or
Hydroponics for the most part. I do work with soil building as well. So, I'd love to be able to kind of do it all at once. But as far as like out of our operation, that would be hydroponics focused. Okay. Let's see. Does everybody see this on the screen right now? I don't know if I'm muted.
we did see it.
Oh, you did see it? Okay, and now I'm back. Cool. Yeah, so this is just like an example. This is modeled after that the I-Core program. So just like some really basic things that we run over with people consistently. The point is that this would be kind of the same questions that you go and come up with solutions and adapt for each segment of the market that you're trying to get food to. So this is an example of and it could be real simple, but this is outreach to a few tribes and villages. Yeah, and just identify who you're trying to reach out to, what you're trying to learn about their kind of general questions around what people are eating, what they would like to have locally sourced, kind of what we could provide for some of these rural villages. And then kind of paying attention to current successes and like elder nutrition programs. I think just about every village has that, or they operate a nutrition program that would serve multiple villages. So that's something that we really want to support through our operation in Fairbanks. And yeah, so it's just kind of like a general kind of questionnaire that we can run through with people. And, we take that data and we can put it into a spreadsheet and be able to share that with other people too. So, yeah, that market analysis, that's something that we've been kind of consistently conducting over the past few years. So we have a good idea of general interest around crops, locations around the states and their current food infrastructure, and how they want that to be supported and where they want to grow with that. And we understand that not every community wants to have large scale farm operations, and that's totally fine. And then in many communities currently, there's food security projects. And in Fairbanks, a lot of people are working on that too, but it's not as visible as I would like it to be. So that's kind of something that I feel like we're all working towards here. But yeah, I think we were using like float tables for our old hydroponic grow, and that was in like a 500 square foot converted cabin. So we're going to be looking into a gutter system for this new operation because it's just better for space, and we think that it would really work great for our lettuce. Yeah, so that's kind of a general overview of some of the things that we work on and that we're working towards. I'm really excited about the seed saving workshop coming up because I know that we've wanted to branch out into seed saving a little bit. And we had run a couple trials with some wild greens that Kelly had harvested from the Hooper Bay area. And we didn't really have too much success. But we were also just having fun experimenting with it. So hopefully, yeah, after coming down there to visit, you guys have a little more background on how to approach that.
Have any of you saved hydroponic seeds before? I'm just curious.
I don't usually let mine go to seed.
Yeah.
Hydroponics. I could. I would have very good luck with basil. Going to seed. It definitely does that. So
I propagate them a lot, but I don't think I've ever done seeds.
Yeah, I was just curious. And for your guys' operation knows you guys are gonna be focused on leafy greens, herbs, mainly leafy greens.
Yeah, our CSA boxes that we were doing, I think it was like 2 heads of lettuce, one other green variety, and then an herb or two. And we kind of doubled down growing herbs towards the end, and we're just kind of focusing on lettuce and other leafy greens. But we'll probably be growing some herbs too going forward here. We always had basil, but as far as mints and oregano, we kind of cut that out of what we were growing just because it takes longer and there's not as much of a demand for it, at least not in consistent quantities.
can I ask a question why you're going to the gutter system as opposed to the deep water culture? What's your reasoning for that? I'm just curious.
For space, and I think it's just a cheaper method from what we've looked into, because you could use soil in the gutter, and or just kind of like a wicking strip, so it uses less water and it's just more efficient way of using our nutrient solution and really making that stretch. So yeah, space is kind of the biggest thing, and then accessibility. So, you know, easier to harvest, safer to work around, and potentially more light absorption as well. So we'd have to figure out a new lighting system or buy new vertical lights. But those are kind of some of the things that we wanted to use the gutters for. And we had done some experiments with some bucket hydroponic grows too for tomatoes. And I know that we want to circle around to that too and try to have some vine crops growing and use those buckets. And I think the gutter system will allow us to have space to do that, those different grows. And I've seen with the gutter systems too, you know, you can have it attached on kind of like a frame with so many rows, and then that whole thing could be mobile, so we can pull that away from the wall and get behind there and be able to keep the operation clean. And
You have a preferred nutrient source?
we're using salts right now, but we want to work towards having some more organic nutrient solutions. We've experimented a little bit with compost tea, but it's kind of difficult when you're trying to get your desired amount of nutrients and also try to keep that water as clean as possible without any organic activity going on.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know it's.
But that is something that we want to work with villages specifically about is we understand that that would be expensive, is flying those salts out to rural locations. So we want to help people develop the most localized and cheapest systems that they can operate.
Well, on that note, I was curious if, because it might be a little bit down the line until something's developed how to coordinate even, like I know for Kodiak even, we need to get nutrients delivered here more efficiently. Instead of all of the farms ordering it on their own and getting it shipped up, if we can just get a pallet at a time or something and then divvy it out. But if we could even do that around Alaska, or just what are the ways, until we crack that code, how can we not all be ordering our own nutrients and a lot in shipping costs, maybe? I don't know if that's.
Nels, have you considered talking with Scott about the biologicals that we've been working with? I mean, that may resolve some of the problem if you using the sort of reproducing biologicals that are not compost tea, so you don't have dealing with organic matter getting stuck in your filters and things. So we've been doing a lot of work with that over at Effie, and I highly recommend you look into that, because you're going to deal with, when you're dealing with salts and you got buildup, and then you have issues with your system, especially in your NFT systems, where they proved over at Effie that using the biological fertilizer, it actually helps that from being an issue. There is still a blow off with the tubes, but it's actually, it's a self-replicating system, and we did a presentation on it a couple of months ago, and you're welcome to go back and take a look at that. But we would love to help you solve that problem with what we've been researching with the kids at Effie. And Scott's been working with Will Hutto, who was basically the start of all the AFAC project. And we just started a new biological tank in the office. You could come by and see it. I would be happy to show you what we've been working on. It may help move that problem that you're trying to resolve a little bit further along than shipping out salts.
Cool. Yeah. I'll try to get down to the office this week. That'd be awesome.
Okay, perfect.
Let me know if you get into buckets. Love to chat
Okay.
about that. We saw a cool system at Arnold Family Farms in Sterling. That was
Mm.
pretty neat. Kind of a combination of Dutch bucket and the bubble bucket, but seemed to be a pretty good, simple setup where he floods and drains all of his buckets, connected by tubes. And just does that a couple times a day and doesn't have issues with clogging or running pumps all the time or some of those things
Cool.
that come up. Yeah, we gotta try and get him on a call. Maybe call. I don't know if he's too Zoom savvy, but I know he loves talking hydroponics.
He can join in on the phone.
Exactly.
People do it all the time.
Yeah.
We can get him on. That'll be great. I'd love to get the other one down in Soldotna there too. The
Whistle blow or whistle
the
stop.
whistle
Fresh
stop.
frequency
Yeah, that
flash.
would be really cool. Did you give them a call and they didn't get back, or what happened with
No,
them?
I don't
Like,
think
what'd you do?
I'll shoot them an email.
Perfect. I would love to have them do this too.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, Nels. Do you have more you want to share? Or are you good?
I think that's about all I have for right now. Yeah, like I said, like it's interesting being in this kind of transitioning phase between farms and building multiple farm operations and running experiments and what have you. And yeah, it's a lot of, but I'm excited to share the developments that we'll have over this next year.
You guys are doing a lot. It's exciting.
Yeah, and I'm just super thankful to be kind of part of this larger Alaska network. I think that we really have a lot to support each other and to draw from here.
Well, I think it would be a good time for us to just do a little round robin on us to what you guys are working on and what's going on with in your world. It would be hydroponically. Nikira, do you want to catch us up on what's going on over at ABI?
Yeah. So our official grant ended for like our hydroponics. So we're going to transition a little bit into I think growing things based on what the hospital needs and wants, and can purchase with some of their money. So we'll see exactly where that goes. We're kind of trying to figure that out. Right now, we still just have peppers growing, have a lot of peppers. They're starting to ripen. So it's fun to, that's what I look over at all the time. Little red cayenne peppers. And then I planted some Arctic strawberries like last week, just to get going and growing in a bucket system just for fun to see how that does. We had a whole bunch of basil, just finished harvesting that though. We used it for conference we helped host in some of that food. I gotta look it up. I don't remember how much came out of there, but it was significant. It just kept growing. So we had basil and tomatoes growing at the same time, and basil overtook the tomatoes, so we eventually just chopped it down. So there's still tomatoes, but yeah, nothing crazy. We bought with some of the remaining funds we bought a cloner, which I don't know, just kind of a fancy aeroponics, but that'll be a little bit fun when we start doing some clippings probably next year, some propagating of stuff. But yeah, not a whole lot new.
All right, Max, you want to catch us up on where you guys are?
Yeah, not too much. Trying to think. I know we're trying to figure out energy usage, get a couple or we have some small cabinet NFT systems and get some solar panels hopefully and maybe a little battery hooked up to those to try to offset that cost, especially in some of the villages where the price is, 40 to 60 cents a kilowatt hour. We're working with Dan Smith. He's USDA Rural Development. He's the state energy coordinator. Really nice guy, and he runs some of their energy programs. So, and actually Whistle Hill, they run all of theirs off solar, and they got a REAP grant That's the big program, and they'll pay for half of your project costs right now, I think, up to $1 million for production or 500,000 for like efficiency improvements. So definitely recommend looking into them. Any energy related projects, and he's really creative at coming up with ways to put projects together.
What's his name again?
Dan Smith with Rural Development. And we have an exciting project coming online starting this spring, working with some the Chugach region communities, Seward and might be Port Graham and Yakutat, Soldo. I think 3 of the communities. I don't know the specific 3 off the top of my head because those have been moving around, but they all have cabinet systems out there. They just need training. So the equipment's there. They don't know how to grow. So going to be helping doing some training with them, which is exciting we'll have to get them on our calls too, see how it's going and check
Yeah.
and hear their experience as new hydroponic growers. What else? I think those are one other update I wanted to share too. I'm gonna pull this up. I'm pretty excited. I just ordered one of these, but
Oh,
Blue Lab just came out with a all-in-one PHEC pen, which is pretty cool to just have everything in one. So I'm really looking forward to, at least in my home system. I got a little EC meter, but I'm still using pH strips, so it'll be cool to actually know the numbers I'm working with, and nice to have everything in one little probe. So I would definitely recommend looking into that if anybody's in the market for any testing equipment.
yeah, we really like the Blue Lab stuff we have. They
Yeah,
work well.
good company. So I'm excited to keep growing at home, have this little, and bring that with me out too to visits to check. That's something I always remind the growers is, you gotta calibrate every month or two, make sure, because if you don't do that, you're going off of numbers that aren't actually accurate, so that can throw your whole system off. So I think that's
Yeah,
all the updates I have.
cool.
Yeah.
So I can give a update on our hydroponic work with the schools. In fact, when I went offline, my coworker came in and said the school district was on the phone and wanted to talk to us about who we'd been speaking to about getting these systems in. We are finishing up establishing who, and we'll have until June to put some systems in the local schools. So we're looking at a couple of larger systems in 2 of the schools, and then we're going to look at getting some towers in some of the other school district schools. So we're working on that, trying to get it all put together, and we're pretty excited about that piece of it. And we are moving forward with a few test projects. Again, we're still working on developing a little bit more with the biologicals, getting that just right. And next month, at the beginning of the month, I have a workshop with the homeschool group out of one of our homeschool group's idea. They're having me come and build some tub hydroponic systems with their families. And before they even put it out, they had 5 families signed up. So there's a real excited interest in the project. So, and they said, well, we might fill this one up and we might have you do another one. So I'm working on just keeping that part going, talking about as much of our developing our collaborative effort here in Interior as best we can, because that's what makes it work. Well, making sure we're working together. That's kind of an update with us. But I've been also with this project, with the homeschool groups, I've been testing out a few more different kinds of herbs in our system. So we've got some stuff that we normally don't do, like we are always doing basil. Basil and parsley have been our sort of go-to herbs that we've been trying, but I was able to, with the remaining funds that we had in affect, get a whole bunch of interesting herb and try them in the system. So we've been looking at oregano and marjoram, not marjoram, yeah, marjoram, and sage and a couple of other fun herbs, trying to test out the best way that we can get them started and growing. And one of the things that we discovered is adding a little bit of the biological fertilizer when we're starting the seedling actually really helps them to be much stronger and less susceptible to light damage, and they just tend to have a bit more oomph. The beasties make them happier. So just a recommendation. We don't put it in full strength. We just do a little bit into the water that we're getting the seedlings started with. So it's going pretty well. I started just a couple days ago all the seedlings I need for that November 1st workshop, and they're already sprouted and already got their leaves up, looking almost got their second set of leaves popping out. So that was pretty quick because of the biologicals. So anyway, just a thought on helping you with, because sometimes that's the harder part, is waiting for those seedlings to be ready to put in your system. And that's a good way to kind of give them a little bit of an oomph. So that's one of our experiments that we've been working on. Anyway, anything else anybody wants to add? Nels, you're welcome to jump in and add anything, any questions you have for any of us. If anybody's got any questions or thoughts.
Yeah, do you know what the deadline is for the round 2 of the micro grants? I think it's in November.
Off the top of my head, no, I
Okay.
don't. This is round 4, I think.
Oh,
Because there's been at least, I had one of the first ones, and there's been at least 2 rounds in between. So I think this is number 4.
mhm.
But yeah. Right? I just checked the website, or you can call Mary Rowland. I can give you her number right now. She's the one that manages the grant program out of Division of Ag.
Mhm.
Do you want her number?
Yeah,
I
I'll
could
take it.
text it to you. I could text it to
Mhm.
you. Then
Yeah,
you have
thanks.
it. No problem.
Probably in a month or 2. I think they just opened it up again.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We're still waiting to hear back on our round 1. They're still reviewing them. So
Oh.
for the 2024.
What do you mean by round 1 and round 2? Just out of curiosity, if you got one before, or is this like,
That's how they've
what do
been
you-
marketing it, I think. I guess of their 2024 ones, they're
okay.
finishing up the round 1, and it says the second round of applications.
Okay, that makes some more sense.
Mm,
Sorry,
yeah.
Nils, I didn't understand that.
Yeah, no worries. And you're still eligible for it if you weren't awarded the previous.
I believe
Uh,
so. Yeah.
Okay. And that makes sense. I can tell you it, having gone through being a reviewer, it's a really hard thing to be a reviewer on that, because I wanted to fund everything that I saw that came through, and you're not allowed to do that. So it's really rough and tough as someone who got one, then being asked to be a reviewer to decide, because it's people really would love to have them. I wish we had a way of funding all of them. That's my feeling about it, because everybody who puts one in has really thought it through. So
Any
Please.
recommendations? Tying in regional impact and outreach, or this and that versus, I don't know.
yeah, I think it came down for me with choosing was impact on your local community and what you wrote, as far as if it felt really sort of you were going to be the only benefit, it was easier to say no than
Yeah.
if you talked about how you were giving it to neighbors and to other needy groups, and the ones that really talked about community. I think I was more likely to say push it through. But that was because I was with the first round, where we had to be in a community group. We were told the very first one, if you're working with the food bank, that's a good process. But I think it's just as important if you're giving it to your neighbors if you're giving it to the food bank. because you're taking care of people in your community, your elders and people that wouldn't have that produce otherwise. So
You might be keeping your neighbors from going to the food bank. Cause you
true.
know, but yeah, I totally agree.
That is true. Yeah, I think what they need to do is get more reviewers and give them less to review, because then you're more likely to push things a little bit forward and put it back on them. But I don't have control over that. But all right, well, next month I think we have Kaylee doing her presentation. That'll be great, and we'll check in with her, and hope you all can make next month's meeting. We'll be around when the time when the Farm Bureau meeting is here in Fairbanks. I don't know if any of you guys are coming for that, the State Farm Bureau meeting. Nels, are you going to the Farm Bureau meeting next month?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to. Yeah.
Well, I hope you have a great time in the seed saving workshop. I probably would have jumped on that if I knew about it, if I was invited, but that looks really cool. I hope we can do more of things like that in the state. It would be neat, Nels, if you learned and did one of those up here for the community. I would definitely support you on it, figure out how we can make that work. and
Awesome.
Get
Yeah,
you a
that's the goal.
place. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, well, hope anybody else want to say anything more? Max, did you have anything else you want to say?
No, I was just gonna say we need to develop, the presenter we're bringing up. They're really good with, Southwest and Arizona, and some things translate, but it'd be good to take it and run with it up here in Alaska in terms of seed saving efforts.
Maybe one of you could do a presentation at the Food Policy Council conference on that. Just poking in. That would be really fun down in Kodiak. I'll be there. All right. Well, hope you all of you, have a great rest of your day, and thanks for joining us this Wednesday afternoon. And keep up the good work.
Thank you, Mel.
Yeah, thanks
You're
again,
welcome.
Good to see
All
everyone.
right.
Enjoy the rest of your week.
You too.
Likewise. Bye, everyone.
All right. Bye.